Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Welcome to Pandora's box, everybody. You know the score. We're here to talk about a plethora of topics, subjects, as always, while going heavy on the bants, keeping things light. Well, actually, we usually keep things light. Sometimes we also get balls deep, though.
It's got to be done.
Sometimes you got to get a bit deep.
Yeah, we've just been chatting about how myself and Drew went to Bristol Beacon last night to watch Opeth, Swedish band Opeth. I say all of you sort of like metal fans out there, you all know who Opeth are, but they're like a Swedish prog and death metal band known for basically like their beautiful melodies, deep lyrics, but also like real like heavy sections, very very tight. Great tones, like almost like very, very like a thinking man's metal. Definitely like a thinking man's metal, like an intellectual man's metal. Like meticulous musicianship is just really high on the scale, and just like, almost like quirky, classy gentlemen, aren't they?
Not scared to take it in any direction they want, even if it will like upset some fans who are like more into, say, like the death or metal and stuff elements of it. But yeah, they went real proggy, didn't they, in their last like few albums, and so different, you know. Yeah,
I said even before that though. I mean, like Damnation isn't really like that. Like isn't really like proggy, but it's still just like beautifully melodic, isn't it? With, like, lyrics and, like, clean tones and everything.
The acoustic elements that they have in a lot of their music is epic, and they had their piezo guitars up there as well, so they were doing all the acoustic sounds on their their electrics up on stage, and it was so cool to watch the level of musicianship from all of the band. Another new drummer since the last time I saw him, but he was really
epic.
Good. Yeah, he was really so good. Like, and there wasn't one fault with any of the musicianship. The whole gig.
There wasn't, was there?
No,
there was.
Which is very.
There was one bit where I could tell that. Frederic, there was one bit where I could tell that, like, I don't know if his like tuner wasn't working or something. He seemed like he was a bit concerned that his low E was out of tune. But then did you see like Mikhail was looking at me, he was going like, "It's alright."
Yeah.
And you could, I could hear that it was alright as well. Like it didn't sound like weird. Like it didn't sound like off. Like against like.
Yeah. And there was another bit as well where like what's the lead singer called? Mike or
Mikhail.
Yeah. And he was like playing this like real like melodic clean part, and like Frederic did something like it was like real like distorted and like loads of delay on it, like by accident.
Yeah, and he sort of
and he kind of looked over like, yeah, like, what you doing, man?
I think he was maybe almost like worried that he was going to like go into a part early. Or
yeah.
That's not what he was doing. He just accidentally I think he just didn't realise he had his volume up.
Yeah.
As soon as you saw him go, and then just for people that aren't sort of guitar nerds, so like piezo pickups, what Drew was talking about, it's like a pickup that you can put in an electric guitar that makes it sound like an acoustic guitar.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's really cool. Alex Lifeson from Rush uses it loads. So do Opeth. Just basically, it's like really good if you're obviously like a guitarist that mixes like electric guitar and acoustic guitar in like the same track. Obviously, you can do it like the James Hetfield way, where James Hetfield usually has like an acoustic guitar almost like stuck to like a microphone stand. And he'll like go up, and then he'll like he'll play like Unforgiven and stuff a bit on that, and then he'll have like his electric like rat strapped around him. But like the easier way, let's face it, is just to have a piezo pickup.
And it's never going to sound as good as an actual acoustic, but it sounds pretty cool as well. And like you can tell that they'd perfected the tones however they were. Because I was wondering that because I didn't see any amps on stage in that, so I think they must use like Axe FX or a kind of like, you know, pretty like modeled guitars and stuff, but the sound was so good, like their tones and everything that they had from those PRS guitars. I was like, oh my god, this is
lush,
beautiful. Yeah,
it's actually like lush. It like makes you almost like cream. Like, when you listen, you're like,
yeah, like the delay and the solo and like every solo tone like stood out so well. Like I hate it when they don't quite stand out, or they're so overpowering that they're like shrill for your ears sometimes because they try and boost them so much, but they just had it on the perfect level where it was like cutting through the mix like perfectly, you know. So cool.
Oh man, that just like their melodies as well, just like the things that they naturally just like create and like come up with Like I suppose it's like Mikkel is primarily the one responsible for that because he's just the one that's written the most like Opeth tracks. But like I freaking love just the way he writes. Like, I just love the way he writes his tracks. Like all his little melodies and that.
Yeah, man.
You know, like quite like minor but really beautiful melodic.
Bit
like
dystonal sometimes and a bit like weird. Yeah, man. And I remember like hearing him in an interview saying that everything they do, like nothing of it is theory based at all. Like it's just on feel, and like he's doing all this weird stuff, but it's just on what could sound cool, and you know, it's not actually working out chords to anything or like doing any like theory behind, like for music theory kind of stuff behind it and that. And I also thought as well that really old song they played from their second album, and he was saying on stage that he wrote that when he was 22, and I was and I thought it was such a cool, like, and hearing them at the level of musicianship that they're at now in their careers, it's almost like they're playing that song that he wrote when he was 22 like on steroids. Like, do you know what I mean? Because they're like their level of musicianship is even like, you know, they've just got a lot more wisdom and matured with it like, over the years, and I was like, it's like cool that they can still play something from back then so early in his career that's just so epic. And God, I wish I wrote that when I was 22.
I always think you can really tell somebody's like a gifted musician when you hear something that they wrote when they were like that young, and it sounds like so mature. Like you could listen to that as like a 60, 70-year-old man and it still sounds like a masterpiece.
All the harmonies and like the proper like guitar harmony parts in and, it and stuff like
sections and everything as well, which you would normally, traditionally you'd associate that more with almost like classical music. I mean, like almost like this like 9-minute piece where there's like 7 or 8 different sections. Obviously most like chart music there's like 3 different sections, or sometimes maybe even like 2. You know, like, so it's like really, really impressive.
I think the only
go on.
The thing that he seemed more embarrassed about with that song compared to like the music and that was it when he mentioned the lyrics, and he said just like, some little like whimsical lyrics that I would have written back then. Like I think he's probably
lyrics about something like you said, like, I can't remember.
And
lyrics about something.
And I can imagine now, like, because Opeth have got pretty cool lyrics, haven't they? Like in some of their and I think put like way more like thought and stuff into it now, perhaps in their later stuff compared to that. But the music was insane.
Oh man, so good. I'd be really interested to know, like his songwriting style, like whether they primarily write the music first and then the lyrics to the music, like Metallica style, or whether they write the lyrics and then work the music around that. Because I always find that very interesting. I was also thinking, like, because they're like very, very, like when you've got songs as intricate as that with so many different parts, like the songwriting process obviously is going to be like far more complicated than just coming up with just a couple of riffs or whatever, and then or just coming up with like say like a melody in your head and then figuring out what the chords are to that melody. Do you know what I mean? Like to the vocals that you've come up with, like. So it's just like
it must be a much more in-depth process.
I'd really like to know like how they go about that.
That's why I said I would find it really interesting if they got some documentaries, like Opeth have got any documentaries. And then Josh was saying I think like Ghost Reveries has one, like or like a making of the album. So I guess you'd see some elements of that like within.
We should try and do one with them.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
Make one, and then I can ask them how they write their songs.
Yeah,
you can talk to them about piezo pickups, Drew, and PRSs.
Yeah, let's get them on the pod.
Yeah.
Oh, it made me want to try a PRS. The only time I've ever tried a PRS is I went to like Anderton's. No, I haven't. I don't think I've played. I know he's got one, hasn't he? Yeah, I haven't played his, but like I just went to Anderton's like guitar shop like years ago and went and it's in like Guildford. I drove all the way to Guildford to go to this guitar shop because it's so epic, and like I'd watched loads of like YouTube videos on Anderton stuff, and I always use Anderton's like online store like for my bits for like buying different amps and guitars and stuff like that. And it's like always really good offers on there and stuff. So I thought I'm just going to drive down to the store, and I took my Ibanez down, and I was going to trade my Ibanez in and get a new guitar. But I went there and they weren't really interested. They didn't give me like a good price for like the Ibanez or anything. So I just basically like had to play on some of the guitars and like stayed in there for like a few hours and stuff and played loads of PRSs and that. That's it. And then went to Wetherspoons and then came home. God, the things you used to do when you're single. Drive all the way to Guildford to play some guitars.
Just went to a Wetherspoons randomly. What, just had like a hamburger and chips and then came home or something?
Yeah, pizza and a pint.
That's a cheapie, isn't it? A nice little cheap Wetherspoons.
That's it, man.
Yeah, that's mine and Drew's little rant about us going and watch Opeth last night. Anyway,
Yeah, it made me want to get a PRS with pizzos in it.
Oh man, yeah, I'd love to get a guitar with some pizzos in it. Yeah, I would actually freaking love
doesn't Mr. Lyson's Gibson?
He's got a custom Gibson Les Paul.
Yeah, that has it in
this like beautiful cherry red.
Has it got a Floyd Rose on as well?
Gold pickups and a Floyd Rose and a piezo pickup. How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's like the ultimate guitar.
Yeah,
a Les Paul with a Floyd Rose and a piezo pickup.
Yeah, mate.
It's a beautiful colour as well. It's a beautiful colour.
Have to get one.
Yeah, so basically, if you guys want to listen to some, if you've ever thought, do you know what? I really want to listen to some good, like sort of like prog, really deep melodic prog metal, but I don't really know where to start. Listen to Opeth's album Sorceress, and also their album In Cauda Venenum, which means the scorpion's tail, which is a little bit of trivia for you. In Cauda Venenum was what's the word I'm looking for? Like a saying that they used to use in ancient Rome. And in Cauda Venenum, the scorpion's tail, it sort of means like beware not of, like, so a scorpion has pincers at the front, right? But the pincers aren't the thing that's going to do you the most damage. It's the poison barb in their at the back of their tail. So in Cauda Venenum was almost like a moral, almost like a little saying, like a moral of the tale, sort of moral of the story
beyond
tale
the surface.
In ancient Rome. Yeah, it was like, be wary not of the threats that are obvious to you, be wary of the threats that are hidden to you. You know, always be thinking, right, trying to look deeper, trying to be deeper, you know, look beyond the surface level, you know, like always try and be on the ball, you know. Which I think is really cool. And Opeth, being like the intellectual gentlemen that they are, obviously thought that is a cool little thing, and then called their
nice
album.
Concept.
Yeah. Also, if you want to listen to some real beautiful melodic music, then really deep, then listen to the whole Damnation album by Opeth. That's beautiful from beginning to end. But yeah, to be honest, like all of their albums have good stuff to offer though, and if you want to go like heavier than that, then pretty much listen to any of their other albums other than the ones I just mentioned. I think albums like Heritage have like a good mix. About half the tracks on that are almost more like sorcerousy type tracks, and then the other half are more like, I think there's a track on that called like A Poet's Lyre and stuff like that, you know, as in like lyre, as in like the instrument.
Oh yeah.
Rather than like, you know, you're a liar.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like a real beautiful track, and I know there's a couple of other ones on that which are really good as well.
I always like that other moral story about a scorpion.
Oh, what, the fox?
Is it a fox where he has to cross the river?
Yeah, I think it's a fox. I think it's a fox.
And the fox gives him a ride, but he's like, right, I'll give you a lift, you know, but don't sting me, no matter what.
Yeah.
And obviously they get in the water. What does the scorpion do?
Boom!
Stings him, you know.
And the moral of that story is that when things are so ingrained in somebody's nature, they can't help but do something, even if it makes no logical sense. So, and because the thing in that story is the scorpion dies as well. The whole point is that the scorpion needs to get to the other side of the water, but the scorpion can't swim. So the scorpion knows it'll drown if it goes in the water. So it makes the deal with the fox, and the fox is wary to do it because he says, "You're a scorpion. Surely you'll sting me." And the scorpion says, "But why would I sting you? If I sting you, I will drown as well, and I will die. So I would just kill both of us." So then the fox agrees, and then when they're halfway across, the scorpion stings the fox, and the fox says, "But now we'll both die." And then the scorpion says, "Like, I'm sorry, it's in my nature." Like, he didn't even want to do it; it's just in his nature. And I think it's almost like that's like the moral of the story of that as well. Is basically just to like beware, because you know things that don't even make sense in life sometimes to you, but like if something is so ingrained in either like somebody or something's nature, not even necessarily an individual, maybe like a group of people, an organization. Yeah, like a bear. But it could also even be like a group of people.
When we were talking about pets the last episode, you know, like remember you were saying like that people do that with big bears and that, and it's like be careful because they have in their nature.
That woman that like freaking her mate's face got
ripped off by the chimp. Yeah,
and she'd had it for like quite a while, and it'd been like fine. And then one day boom, freaking turned, ripped a woman's face off.
Gonna go for the gonads.
That's crazy. Yeah, man. That's mad that like chimps do that to men, isn't it?
Yeah.
They know they target your balls and your face. They rip your balls off.
I do love apes. I was watching a documentary the other day about orangutans. Such cool animals.
They're
man.
so like peaceful
Their
as well.
expression on their face, I always find as well. When you see them, and I watched one on gorillas the other day as well. I was like, Ruben was just sitting in here while I was working, and I just put it up in the corner so we could just like watch some gorillas while I was just, you know what I mean, like watching them a bit. And it was like hilarious. Like that morning, I was like lying in bed, and like Ruben like got in my little armpit like bit, you know what I mean? Like and we're just like, you know, like having a cuddle. And then like, you're watching these like gorillas, and there's this massive male like gorilla, and it was like you know, but then like the little baby was just in his crease, like the same thing. And I thought it was like hilarious, but it's like
you're mirroring it.
Yeah, and like just saying about it's like the nature like can be this massive like big like brutal sometimes and real and thing, but like have a real gentle side, and you capture that in nature as well, and like and with its young and everything. I thought, oh, that's so cool that they've got
something so familiar, isn't there, about apes? Like you can watch any sort of ape documentary, and the stuff that you can almost recognize as your own behavior. Like it was cool in the orangutan one, like almost seeing them use tools. Like this one little orangutan that was clearly curious. I think that's one of the most admirable features of an animal, isn't it? It's curiosity.
Yeah.
And there was this little tortoise on the ground that was just, you know, skulking around, and the orangutan was clearly a bit freaked out. Like, what the hell is that? Like moving around the floor. So he was like snapping off branches from like up high in his tree, and then like throwing them like javelins down at the tortoise. And
poor tortoise, man. He's like, man, I'm just trying to walk around.
Just real slowly walking away.
I almost loved as well, like recognizing how the Grinch is just like an orangutan, like a green orangutan. I've never sort of realised that before.
Is he specifically an orangutan?
I think the Grinch is the Grinch, but it's like very...
it's basically an ape. He's sort of like an ape. Yeah,
when I was watching this thing, it looked like because there were baby orangutans there, like, it was spit an image. Like, if you just changed the colour of that orangutan to green, you'd be like, there's the Grinch. Which is pretty cool.
I remember I went to Monkey World in Dorset a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
And that was amazing. And the apes that almost like amazed me the most there were the orangutans. I remember I went to like the orangutan.
I've never seen one up close.
Oh man, it was insane. There was one like literally just over the barrier.
Just that side of the mirror.
And then so I was like, it's really like a couple of feet from it, and you could tell they were just as intrigued by us as we were by them. And it was like a weekday, and probably about midday, so it wasn't like that busy. And like we took Evie there. And it was amazing. It was just like they were just sort of checking us out. We were checking it out, and it just seemed so human. And then I feel like the feeling I got from the orangutan was like all this like serenity and peace. There was nothing like dodgy.
A wise old monk.
But the chimps gave out completely different vibes. The chimps gave out vibes like, I am so glad that there is this barrier here between us. Because like if they got free, like watch out Dorset. That's the vibe I was just mate, they were fighting in there. Like you'd go to like the gorilla bit, and the gorillas would just be like, and they'd be chilling, and like it was insane how just massively muscular the silverback was. But even still, like I didn't feel like it was peaceful, like a danger. Like you definitely wouldn't want to mess with it. Like don't fricking try and wind it up, because like it would rip your fricking limbs off. But
he was probably just minding his own business.
It's almost like as long as you respected the fact that he was the alpha ape in the room, you're fine. That's what I felt like. Orangutans were like the ultimate. They were like the Buddhists of the apes. But like the chimps, they were like openly fighting while we were there. The whole time we were there, all you could hear in the background was like. And then like all the big they were like males fighting and like battling for like dominance, and it was like this like apparently it's like this like daily struggle to see who the alpha is, and they just never stop fighting, and they're like politicking with the other chimps to try and get other chimps on their side to like overthrow other chimps. And that it's like gang warfare almost. That's the vibe I get. It's like gang warfare but with chimps like every freaking day.
We've spoken on the pod before, haven't we, about Chimp? Is it called Chimp Empire? That Netflix documentary where the chimps actually go to war with another like set of chimps. How crazy is that? And they even
target other apes. So like even though like obviously 1-on-1 a chimp couldn't stand its ground against a silverback gorilla in a fight, they ambushed this silverback because gorilla like groups tend to be a lot smaller. So there usually be like one dominant male, maybe one or two other younger males, and then just like a couple of females. Whereas like chimps, sometimes like groups like 30 to 40, something like 30 male chimps like ambushed this small group of gorillas, where I think there was only one male and it was just a silverback, and they just like slowly killed him. Like he managed to kill I think like 2 or 3 chimps, but they were just like swarming him, and because they're so strong too, they just managed to just like they gang beat him to death essentially. And I think they just and then they killed like all the female gorillas as well.
It was
because they just saw it as like other apes in their territory that they just didn't want. And usually, the gorillas are so strong that the chimps leave them alone. But one of the things that the documentary was trying to get across was like, as chimps are evolving, they're figuring out that obviously if they use their numbers advantage and stuff like that, and like ambush gorillas, they can even beat gorillas. Whereas traditionally, chimps would have been like, oh no, I don't want to mess with a gorilla. Like, it's too intimidating.
It was cool even seeing, like you were talking about the politics of it. Like, even when they're grooming each other, because obviously they do that thing, don't they, where they, like, pick the bugs out of their fur, and it sort of, like, keeps them from getting infections and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was cool. You almost just think in your head that must just be, anyone can do it to anyone. But they were saying in the documentary that there was almost, like, a hierarchy. So, like, the alpha ape would only really get groomed by, let's say, the next 2 apes below him. And then, it was almost like a chain, like a pyramid scheme almost.
A pyramid scheme of chimps.
Yeah, like, the people at the bottom couldn't groom any of the other chimps that were, like, almost in a higher power.
Well, to be fair, I can understand that. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want just any ragamuffin if I was a top dog grooming me. Yeah. I'd want, like, the... because the people you trust the most will naturally be your like second and third in command. Yeah, the people you trust and rely on the most will naturally be like your second and third in command, won't they?
But it's crazy how they almost like were forming alliances by that grooming. So like, let's say another sort of wannabe alpha chimp like was eventually going to try and overthrow.
He'd be like, you can do my head.
Yeah, he'd almost in the background be going off to some of the stronger guys and be like, get this bug off my back, and we're friends.
If you get this bug off my back, maybe we can take care of another pest around here, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Hey.
Maybe it's time for a regime change.
Of the orangutan thing, which I found crazy.
Orangutan thing?
Yeah, this was the documentary I was watching the other day. They were saying orangutans, like when they're shouting out into the distance, like their calls, they'll actually tell the other orangutans in the area what direction they're going to be moving or traveling.
I'm not surprised, yeah.
Like how crazy, like you think they're just almost making noise, but they're literally being like, I'm going to go this direction at some point.
I've heard, I think it was a couple of years ago, I read that the more zoologists and that are learning about animals, they think that like the majority of animal sounds are actually communication, not
like
just
actual language.
Sounds.
It's crazy.
And they know that, like, say, like there's like bird song in the morning, and then there's the dawn chorus, isn't there? And then there's the evening chorus. So that's not just random. They do that basically to tell everybody that they made it through the night or they made it through the day. So
a roll call.
Yeah. So the birds basically say in the morning. The dawn chorus is the bird saying like. Because obviously there's a lot of nocturnal predators, foxes, bats, owls. There's lots of nocturnal predators. So they're basically saying like, hey guys, I made it through the night. Yeah, I'm still here. So you can rely on me if you need anything, whatever, like blah, blah, blah. Made it through another day. Oh, yeah, Derek over there on that branch, he made it through the night as well. Oh, that's cool. Where's Keith? Oh, looks like a cat got him. Damn. Like, that's what they're doing.
Cool.
And they're doing the same thing in the evening as well. It's almost like, night, everyone, night, yeah, hopefully see you in the morning, yeah, blah, 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 if we don't get eaten by something. And I think that's really cool, isn't it?
I had a sponsored orangutan once, right? With like the WWF, where you can sort of like
you sponsored an orangutan?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Mate, that's hilarious.
I had my own orangutan.
You had your own distant pet orangutan?
Do you know, I think in fact it actually got put in a book. Like it got in like a photography animal book, and I got given the book by WWF.
If your orangutan was the one that raped that dude.
Oh my god. Man, this is what I was going to say though. My orangutan went off grid.
No way.
How crazy is that?
He was looking for you, man.
yeah.
He's like somewhere.
He's trying to find his way to Bridgewater.
Somewhere halfway between.
Where's my dad?
Yeah, somewhere halfway between like his little jungle home and here.
I do wonder if it just like it kind of made sense what they said, because male orangutans they sort of branch off from they'll branch off from their group and then go and find another group so that they can have kids and stuff like that. And they were saying that the place where they sort of watched, I guess, spectated the orangutans, my orangutan just randomly like crossed the river one day and just like left their spectating zone, and they just like lost it, and it was like, yeah, he's gone off grid. We don't know where he's gone, and that was like the last update I got of him. I do wonder if he almost just like died, and that was just them letting me down like nicely. But I like to think he did sort of escape out there somewhere, you know.
It's like when your dog Drew had to be put down, and like your parents told you they went to go and live on a farm.
Yeah, and my guinea pig Sonic. That's what they said about my guinea pig.
They went to live on a farm.
Yeah. It happened about 3 times. It happened to Crockett.
Why would a farmer need a guinea pig?
It happened to Crockett, who was my cockatiel.
Baby Crockett.
That was cool. That was cool having that. It was like a little mini parrot, like cockatiels, like, and it was tame and was sitting your shoulder on your head and that, and then Sherelle like sat on it once and like shook it about, and then it would never come near the kids again. Like, it survived. I can't believe it survived.
Sat on it.
Sherelle grabbed it off when she was a toddler, like 2.
That's Drew's younger sister.
Just like grabbed it off the sofa, kind of went like that with like it having it in its head, and then sat on it apparently.
That young lady has a lot to answer for.
And then he was never the same. Then he'd never come over to the kids. He'd still sit on the adults' shoulders and stuff. But
can you imagine being the size difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine being like so. Imagine like it would almost be like us and King Kong,
and then when you trust them as well,
it's really rough. And then and then sitting on you, probably thinking they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And then finally just like, okay,
it's
Jesus
like
Christ.
when he jumped out of the thing and got his arm caught.
Aeroplane.
Yeah, like you just like you're just getting flailed by this thing that's way bigger than you. Like,
man,
it must be savage.
Oh man, rest in peace, cockatiel.
At what point did you start doubting the farm, Drew?
It was sometime. It was after that. It was after Crockett. The guinea
pig
was before
last
that.
Week.
And I'd be like, why?
This is a new revelation.
I'd be like, why are they just letting him live on this place that's not our house? You know what I mean? Like, there's no excuse for that.
Why can't I visit this farm with all of my pets?
Why would you need it to go to the farm? Like, doesn't even make sense. But yeah. Died from injuries.
Man, yeah, that's brutal, isn't it?
Man, you never know. Maybe they're still out there somewhere, still on the farm rocking.
Also, we should name and shame Sherelle because she lost her challenge against you, didn't she?
Oh yeah, and they're out. I'm still going strong. How many days on? I haven't even checked in a while now. This must be like 50 something.
Only 2 whole months in, man.
Yeah. So just for people that don't know, Drew
57 days.
That's good, man. Drew and his younger sister Sherelle had a competition. They were basically gonna go like teetotal, and the first one that basically had a drink, had an alcoholic beverage, had to pay the other one. Is it £100?
Yeah.
So pay up.
First bet I've ever done, actually.
Has it? And so you got 100% success rate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
As you can sell.
Well, do you know what I mean? Like,
you should put that on your Facebook bio. Drew Armstrong, 100% success rate on betting.
One bet ever made.
And then you just like,
yeah. You should get like a load of poker chips around you as well, almost like lying in poker chips. Never lost a bet.
One of those like random like caps. That's something like people. I think people traditionally wear them like golfing, but for some
reason, a visor.
Sometimes you see people wearing them a poker for some reason.
Yeah,
it's just like
what is
a visor, but it's like it's not like a solid cap, is it? It's like it's almost like it's like sunglasses, but it's a cap, but it hasn't got a head.
Yeah.
What
is that?
Why would you wear that in like to gamble? Do you know, like poker or whatever?
I think you're not allowed to wear hats in casinos.
But why would you then think, well, in that case, I'm wearing this weird.
I'm guessing that's almost like they're almost just there if they wanted to wear a hat. But maybe I'm wrong. This is just my assumption. Because
if you really want to wear a hat, but you can't wear a hat, then you can wear this visor, mate.
Yeah, because I wonder if it's something like
unless you were like
visor.
That's what it actually is.
Like hiding a card above your head. But I guess if you were wearing a sun visor, you couldn't really. I'm not sure. That makes sense to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Because I know that, like, obviously, it's like beneficial, isn't it, to like hide your facial expression? Because some people are so good at reading faces. Some people can read if they think that you have a good or a bad hand. But I don't know the rules.
Do you know what? Do you know what part of it probably is?
What?
It's probably you almost like are able to put on a character. Like, I think if you go into poker, you need to... WWE. You're not yourself in there. You're just this, like, vacant thing.
Stone cold
So
killer.
no one can read those tells off of you. And I reckon almost that could be your, like... I don't know. That's how you get into character of being like, right, I'm going to play poker. I'm putting on my poker hat. And I'm getting in the mood.
Should I tell you?
Yeah, go on, man. Do it.
It's to block out bright lights in the casinos, allowing them to see their cards and opponents' faces more clearly.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Especially when dealing with harsh lighting conditions prevalent in poker rooms, this helps them maintain focus during gameplay.
Can you wear sunglasses during gambling, or is that considered cheap?
I think you could. Oh, I don't know. Maybe actually, yeah.
Well, they would be like reflective. So
Good
you'd
point.
see your cards would like show up on your shades.
Good point, man. I didn't think about that, so that would be counterproductive. Yeah, that would be counterproductive.
Green.
Man, it's a good thing I said. Otherwise, you'd be at a poker tournament.
Yeah. I'm just going to wear my aviators. I'll be there thinking I'm really cool.
With your cards in your eyes,
thinking I'm like in my Sheriff Hoyt persona. That's what I do. If I was gambling, I'd go as in my Sheriff Hoyt persona.
Yeah, man. You got to do the full accent and everything.
Yeah, I would. I'd go full on Sheriff Hoyt, and I'd introduce myself as Sheriff Hoyt as well.
I do love poker. Have you guys ever played poker?
I used to play it a lot, like when I was like younger with my granddad and stuff. But then like I haven't played it in absolute years, and I can't even really remember like how to play it, if you know what I mean. But I used to play a lot of like
chess and drafts and dominoes with my granddad back when I was like a kid.
I never played dominoes. I think I did when I was like really young, but I don't know how to play that. You'd have to teach me how to play it, man, because like
a lot of people don't think there's a strategy to it, but there's 100% a strategy to it. And I would go so far as to say is strategy, and it is so important that if either of you two try to play me without a strategy, I 100% would beat you. Like not even like.
So
80%.
what is it? What are
even
the
if I hadn't
basic rules for it?
Really simple. So it can vary slightly on game to game, but basically you get a certain amount of dominoes. So say like you pick, say like you decide to pick up like 8 dominoes. Okay. So if we were playing, we'd pick up 8 dominoes each. Often what you do as like a little wild card thing, you'll put 1 domino to sleep. And say, you know, and all the other dominoes, obviously you can't see them. You know, you pick them up and then you can see them, only you can see them. So that's a bit like cards in that regard. Because if people can see your dominoes, the same way that they could like see your cards, they know your strengths and weaknesses for that game. Do you know what I mean? Because you might have like a real shit hand and only have like like weirdly just luck of the draw. You've only got like 6s. Do you know what I mean? Or like predominantly 6s and then maybe like a 3 and a 5 or something like that. But it's like a 6 and a 6 and then do you know what I mean? Whereas obviously you want like a fairly well-rounded hand, really, because obviously the more well-rounded your hand is, the more the likelihood is that you can go every single turn. You'll usually like decide who's going to go first. So that could be flipping a coin, that could be rock paper scissors, or if you're just really really nice, just decide who's going to go first. And then, so the first person goes, and obviously the winner is the person that gets rid of all their dominoes as fast as possible. And so say we picked up also like 8 dominoes each to begin with. You put 1 to sleep, and that's the wild card, so nobody knows what that domino is that's gone to sleep. And then the ones that are left, if you can't go on a round,
what do you mean go? What have you got to do?
Say right, Bullwinkle's going first. Bullwinkle won coin costs, right? So Bullwinkle's going first. He puts down a 6 and a 3, right? Next, it's your go. You haven't got a domino with either a 6 or a 3 on it. You can't go. So you have to pick up, right? But obviously, the more dominoes you pick up, then the harder it's going to be for you to win. Yeah. Because the person that wins is the person that has no dominoes.
So you've basically got to match whatever is down on either side, and then you put.
Yeah. And like obviously, there's every variation of dominoes. So there'll be like. So like there'll be dominoes that's like a 4 on one side and a 1 on another side, and then there's doubles, so there'll be like 4 and a 4, or you know, and it's like and zeros as well. So it's like 0 right up to 6, and yeah. So the winner is the first person to get rid of all their dominoes.
And you basically just have to put it along. Can it be along any edge, or is it got like when you're laying it down next to the other domino?
It has to be. It has to be the ones on either end, if that makes sense. Say it starts off and Bullwinkle put down like a 3 and a 6. So you can either go. You could either if you as long as you've got a 3 or a 6, you're fine. But then say you put down like on the 3. So say you've got like a 3 and a 1. So you'd put like the 3 facing the 3, and then it'd be my go. So then it'd be I'd have to have either a 1 or a 6. So then I could put like that one down on the 6. And it could be like a 6 and like a 5. So then, do you know what I mean? You would then have to. Your choice would be it'd be back to Bullwinkle, and he'd have to hope that he either had a 1 or a 5. And if he didn't, you'd have to pick up. And then if you there's like often the case where someone picks up all the dominoes and there's no dominoes left in reserve and they still can't go, so you just have to tap the dominoes. That means you can't go. But by that point, you're pretty much guaranteed you're not going to win that round. But it's really fun, because it's a really fun, addictive game. I feel like it's almost like a bit like Uno in terms of it's like super addictive, and you can very easily just play like 6 games in a row, and then obviously like the winner of that day will be whoever's won the most rounds.
Have you ever played Rummikub?
No.
It's like very similar to dominoes, but it's almost like there's like one more thing added, or like 2. You go up in numbers, so you've got to like go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can only put down. In fact, I'm not even going to go into all the rules because it's going to take me far too long to describe it all. But it's a really fun game. It's like colours and numbers, basically.
Yeah.
But it's like quite complicated. But once you get the rules, it's a very fun, like strategic game like dominoes. If you're looking for like a sequel to that, I suppose.
Mate, I'm definitely. I mean, I've got some dominoes at home. I think I've got a couple of packs. So I'm up for like. I'm bringing some in and we can have like a little game. It's really fun. It used to be like a Christmas tradition. It used to be like a Christmas tradition in my house, and every year we play dominoes. And every year my old man would get in a strop if he lost. But every year if he won, he would be like almost like outrageously like stick it in everyone's face, which is like really comical.
There's a
and also I always remember as well. Sorry, I always remember like pretty much every single year if anyone was like, who won last year? My old man would be like, I did. Even if he didn't, he'd be like, no, you didn't. And he'd be like, yes, I did. Yes, I did, you little bugger. And you're like, hey, no, you. What the actually hell are you on about? It's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
The self-proclaimed Dominoes King.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, some years he would win. Like, you know what I mean? But then there were definitely years he didn't, and he would claim he did.
So good. Yeah, I've got to say, man, when it comes to games, any game that, like, you can bluff on, I love those games. I think they're so fun.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah, almost the like ability to go into a game and be able to lie, and like the challenge is just like keeping that stone face and almost like pulling one over on the people that you're playing with. It's so fun. It's exhilarating. When you get to do it like properly, you feel like you've really gotten away with something.
One thing that I always find though with dominoes, and obviously there are lots of other games that could be like this as well. You can either play to win or play to make other people lose. And a lot of people listening might not understand that distinction, but it is important psychologically. And so say the difference between me and my old man is my old man tries to win by making other people lose. I don't do that. I just play to win. I feel like, because I really strongly believe in karma. So I don't try to F up anybody else that I'm playing with. I just do my best to win. Does that make sense?
How would that translate in the actual playing though?
Right. So you could figure out, or you could have a strong hunch that somebody doesn't have any 4s, for example.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then say there's 2 options on the dominoes table, right? One of them is already a 4. The other one's a 3, and you have a domino that is a 3 and a 4, right? And then you put down the 3 facing the 3, so that now it's 2 4s, and you have a really strong hunch that the person next hasn't got any 4s. Stitched them right up. So now they're going to have to pick up, And obviously that's a very strategic thing to do. But my old man really takes pleasure in doing that to people. He'll actually sit there with a smile on his face, and he's like, "I'm gonna mess you up now. I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna screw you up." Good luck. He really tries to get under people's skin and that. Whereas I don't do any of that.
Oh, brilliant.
I just and because it makes it even the sweeter for me then if I do beat him as well.
Is that what Monopoly's like as well? Can people can you be quite like psychological with that, or like
Monopoly's always just won and lost in the trades. I always think it's similar to almost like playing something like Risk. Like, based on the alliances you make, it probably depends on who's going to win. Like, whoever gets that first set and like a good set and a way to make money from it, they've essentially won the game.
I think there is like a luck component as well. I mean, there's a luck component in pretty much any game, because obviously there's a luck component in like your draw. Say in dominoes, like the hand that you pick up. But I still think with dominoes, even if you get a relative, you could have like not the best hand in dominoes and you will still win. But I think with Monopoly, say like you could be really unlucky, and you could just like for some reason put yourself in jail like twice as much as anybody else you're playing with. And that's pure luck. That's just like roll of the dice, isn't it? Like, oh mate, I cannot believe it. I've freaking gone to jail again, and I can't pick up my $200. Like, you know, that's like painful. You know, definitely had that before playing Monopoly, and I'm like, what? I can't believe like the chances of this happening. Like,
man, I can fully see why like business gets so heated, because of the amount of like Monopoly games I've played that have ended up in someone like almost throwing a tantrum or someone like not being happy. Man, that's not even real money. When it comes to like a real business deal or something like that, you can see why people get so heated about it.
I think it's really important to be a good loser in life, and I always think it's really important to have the self-control to like to basically just like not care. Like, look, the best man on the day will win. That's fine. You know, it doesn't mean that they're the best man overall. Do you know what I mean? It's just the best man on the day will win. If that day it's not you, grow up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, shake the person's hand. Yeah. Good on you. Good on you. Well done. End of game. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have like, I should have won that. Like, it's just like really like silly. Do you know what I mean? There are definitely a lot of people that get like that. I tell you what, man, it's actually like quite comical. But when Emily plays anything with her sisters, they all get like so like catty.
Really?
Yeah, like, but like Em won't be like it with me, because we love playing like board games and that. So like we played Monopoly like a couple of weeks ago, because for my birthday I got like you know like the show Supernatural. We got Supernatural Monopoly.
Oh, nice.
So I've got a nice little collection now. I've got Lord of the Rings Monopoly, Game of Thrones Monopoly, and Supernatural Monopoly.
Oh, brilliant!
And we played that, and it was a really long game. And in the end, I won that one. But like, so I like. Obviously, there have been times in the past, like when I've lost, and I'm just like, yeah, well done.
I think it's all well and good as long as everyone's happy with it being like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely Monopoly games that I've gone into with friends or with like, but let's say my dad. My dad's very competitive, as am I, when it comes to like anything we do against each other.
Yeah.
So, if I lose against my dad in something, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
And he's going to brag and he's going to be a bad winner.
We've got similar dads in that regard.
Yeah, he's going to be a bad winner. But then on the flip side, I can respect that, and I can be like, you know what, fair enough, I don't like it now, but when I beat you, I'm going to be an even worse winner. But that's almost the fun of it. Like, in my opinion, you know, going into a competition like that, I like how you really feel like you need to win. You know, you really feel like it doesn't mean that, you know, an hour after the game, a day after the game, that you're still like hung up on it, but like the taste of that defeat doesn't feel good, and that's what makes you want to win so bad. It's
interesting, like our different mindsets when it comes to that, because in that your almost like tactic is to match your old man's energy with that, whereas my tactic is to almost do the opposite of him for whatever reason. Like, I almost take almost more pleasure in doing that though, because in my mind, I'm like, not only have I beat you, but unlike you, I'm not a sore winner and a sore loser. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like, not only have I, so I've like beat you, and like Buddha would definitely think more highly of me, mate. I think,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think there's almost like there's almost like a small bit of enjoyment of like, if someone wins and they're fully going at me afterwards, and like, you know, being a bad winner, I'm in my head, I'm enjoying it a little bit, because I'm a bit like, that's quite funny. I'd definitely be doing that too if the roles were reversed. So I can like, there's no bad feelings there, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm.
But then I guess if I went into a competition with someone like, played Monopoly with someone that wasn't like that, I'm then not going to be like that too. You know what I mean? I think that's what I was saying. Like, it matters if you sort of match the energy of sort of what the competition is. I'd say, you know.
I think it's like, I don't know. Like, I think like with me anyway, it's like I would like refuse to be like dominated by anybody, like regardless of who they are. But at the same time, I like to be kind to people, and I think that like, so as a result, I don't really want to rub things in people's faces. And if I win, I don't want to be like, you guys suck. That's just like not really in my nature. So I just don't really want to be like that. Do you know what I mean? But then if someone's trying to be like that to me, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to let it get my back up. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to, or anything like that. I'm not going to take a back step either. I'm just going to be like, all right, screw you. Well, it's just going to be even sweeter when I eventually win. Even if I don't win this round, even if I don't win the next round, I will win eventually. You know, and then I'll be like, who's freaking smiling now, pal?
Have you ever played backgammon?
No, I haven't.
No,
because that's like a really old like pub. Because there's a pub by us, and it's really cool. They've just got board games like built into the tables and stuff. So you can like have a pint in that, and they've got like domino. They've got like certain little shelves behind you where you can just grab a thing of dominoes, or they've got backgammon as well, which I think is like a really old like pub game.
Isn't it?
I've never played it, but it looks quite intriguing as well. But
I was going to say it's got quite an interesting board, isn't it? Like
it's like a cool board with like triangles on and stuff, and and they look like checkers from like drafts and that. But there's like a club that goes. So this pub, like they'll go and meet like every Thursday or whatever, and there'll be like a load of backgammon players there that all go and just play it. And it's like that's cool, little English pub thing.
Man, I really, really want to play dominoes now. Now I've been chatting about all this. I've got this.
Man, we should bring some in.
Got some hankering to play dominoes.
I think it's very cool. Like you were saying with the backgammon there, Drew. I wish that was more of a common thing where like chess, for example. I think that's so cool that you go to New York City out in the in the park or something, and there's always going to be different people just playing chess. They might not know each other, but they'll just sit down across from each other, play a good game, shake hands, and just move on with their day. And like you hear that there's like chess grandmasters that will go out and play in the in New York City Park. What's it called? The Central Park. Central Park. There's like actual chess grandmasters that will go out and play there. But there are people that will just beat them, hands down beat them.
Serious?
But, and they will be like, there's like a certain word for what they are. I can't remember. I might try and find it while we're like going on to the next topic
like
or
prodigies?
Something. I don't know. I don't think it's that. There's like, it's almost like being a complete genius in one thing. So there are people out there like that with chess that for whatever reason just have never like actually gone pro or like competed.
Or like they don't want to go pro for some reason.
Yeah. But they'll happily just like, you might just find them at a park somewhere and they'll just be like dominating people.
I think that's one of the like almost like interesting things about life as well, isn't there? Because like regardless of what you're into, whether it's like music or chess or say like strength sports, like there's the people that on paper are technically the best because of what they've showcased to the world. But then there's always that like mystery of like, I wonder if there's just somebody that's like better than any of these people that's just like living like somewhere in the world, just like that's a real quiet private life, and they're just super private, but really not competitive at all, and they have no like need to. They're not an exhibitionist in any way. They feel no need to showcase their talents, but they are just freaking amazing, and they're like even better. But like the world will just never know them, and in a way that's sort of like amazing and fascinating, isn't it? And it sort of seems like a shame, but at the same time, I almost like the fact that it's almost like a little mystery of the world, of the universe. You know,
a savant. That's the word I was looking for, like a chess savant. But yeah, so cool. Like there was always almost the question of people like Leo Messi, which obviously realistically he's a bad example because I think he would do well in whatever situation he was thrown into. But the question was always, how would he play on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke? Against like those sort of conditions that he would be comfortable in. And
so are you talking about football now?
Yeah, but sorry, just like
Lionel Messi.
Yes.
Yeah, right, the footballer. Sorry, obviously me and Drew aren't massive footballing fans. And just
Yeah,
for anyone
I was on chess in my head still. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just talking in like terms of any athleticism now.
Yeah, no, I get what you were saying. So like obviously he was from like a remind me where Messi's from. Is he Argentinian?
He's Argentinian, but always played in Barcelona. So.
Yeah, so he played in a super hot country from a super hot country. So yeah, it's like those different factors. Like as you said, if he played on a cold night in Stoke-on-Trent, it's like almost like sleeting. Yeah. It's like sleeting. It's dark. It's just muddy. It's miserable. You know when you're like in school and you're like playing like whether it's like football or rugby. Obviously for me it would have always been rugby. I never played football, but for you football. Like, and it's just winter and it's bitterly cold. Like your ears are numb and sort of stinging, and you've just got wet mud all over you, and it's just like that's like it's just a different feel. It's like to like like how it is playing rugby in Australia, as you said, Lionel Messi, from Argentina, played freaking football in Barcelona. You're right. Like, how would he have played against like freaking Vinnie Jones in a match in Stoke, or against like Roy Keane, someone that was like a real rough from the UK, used to those freaking horrible, grimy environments. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be interesting, yeah.
But I also love the almost like the mystery, like you were saying, of is there people out there that could have been the greatest of all time in their respective sports, but just never quite had the opportunity or never quite had the chance to break through in that sense. There could be like kids that, were born in Argentina that were better than Messi.
Yeah.
Messi's the greatest of all time footballer that we know.
Is that consensus? Is that the general consensus?
Yeah, he's
so pretty much everyone thinks that Lionel Messi is the best footballer of all time.
There are people that would make an argument for something else, but it's a small minority.
Who would you say are like the 3 or 4?
So
top
you would have Messi, who in my opinion is like inarguable. Like he's another. In my opinion, he's another level.
Right.
Like he's not. It's not even close. And
right.
you could go into why.
He's your GOAT.
Yeah. When it comes to any sort of thing in football, he's the best. Like I can't think of. Given the eye test,
thing is, there's different variables, isn't there? Like with all sports, but you think that overall,
like almost
everything,
literally every single thing, he's like he blows my mind. I don't think you'll ever see someone as good. Like he's a mystery to how good he is,
an enigma.
Exactly.
Right.
You've got like Maradona, Pele,
Diego Maradona,
Pele, and Cristiano Ronaldo are sort of like the 4.
Really, you say they were the four best ones?
And because the debate always was between Messi and Ronaldo. Because obviously they were playing at the same time.
What about some of the older ones? Or is it?
Pele
and Maradona. They're both dead
Diego
now.
Maradona was known for being almost like hilarious because he was an Argentinian, wasn't he? And he was like this massive cokehead, and he got really freaking fat. He was like known for just eating crap and just was like this cokehead and that, but he was just amazing at football.
Yeah, he was like when we talk about like John Daly and people like that, Drew, he was almost the version of that. Like he just didn't care at all. He just would do drugs and just like turn up, play football every now and again, but he was still the best in the world at the time.
Pele was like the best Brazilian player for a long time.
Yeah,
probably of all time.
So Pele's sort of claim is that he scored the most goals ever.
Has he still to this day?
So it's like
that's amazing. That's quite a cool feat.
But then at the same time, because he was playing in Brazil and like the numbers were always changing, it wasn't as solidified as we can do now.
It's a little bit of a question mark.
It's in contention. Like there's a lot of goals where it's like, did those go, like there are goals that people reckon counted from like a movie that he was in.
It's a padded record. It's a bit of a padded record, right?
Exactly. And then like Messi and Ronaldo, the debate was always goals, right? Because Ronaldo has like a few more goals than Messi, but Messi would play like half the pitch deeper than Ronaldo.
So he was setting up the goals a lot of the time.
So
things like that.
Yeah.
Which obviously is like just as important, if not more, than just how many goals you've scored.
Yeah, and you watch like the goals and assists they've had, for example, Ronaldo's like 90% of them will probably be like in the 6-yard box. Just a little tap in at the end of like a team movement. You know, the team was revolved around passing the ball to Ronaldo as close to the goal as you can.
Right.
And then he would pass it in. Still one of the best players of all time. Sure, you know, but Messi was picking up the ball from the halfway line, running past 10 people, and then like chipping the keeper. And everyone was like, how did that happen? Like he would go to rival stadiums, and the rival fans would chant his name and be like, Messi, Messi, as he was coming off. I've never seen them do that for like any other player.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's amazing to like because football's such a bitter sport as well. Like rival fans are not.
Oh,
you
like the
you almost kill the other fans.
Football gangs are like insane, aren't they? Like,
exactly. So for them to like after the game just appreciate the greatness in front of them, for me
that's almost unheard of, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the sort of thing that stands Messi apart from the others, in my opinion.
Oh, fair play. Who would you say are like the? So you named obviously the 4. Are there any sort of other footballers that you think people also would like put in like high contention? Because obviously, like for me, that's obviously I've grown up in a very football orientated country, but I'm just not interested in football myself. But I am interested in sort of like people that can achieve great things.
Like in greatness, yeah.
Yeah, so I find it interesting. You know what I mean? Like to an extent.
There are people that Johan Cruyff would probably be another one.
I've never even heard of them.
Yeah,
who's that?
He's a guy from the Netherlands.
Is he the guy with like he's like a pale white guy with like blonde hair?
No. He had like, as a Dutch guy would have back in the day. I think at times he just sort of had like probably a similar haircut to me, I suppose at times.
Oh, okay.
And like a little mustache every now and again.
I never heard of him.
But he came from Ajax to Barcelona, and he essentially like rewrote the modern game. So like the way he played, he was just because he was an old player,
right?
And he almost like changed the way that everyone played football at the time. Like he sort of changed how it was done, and for that, like the actual impact he's had on football, that's like one of the things that sets him up there as well, you know.
Right.
But
Who would you say is the greatest English player of all time, or like the greatest couple of English players? Because obviously, like growing up in the 90s, there were there was a lot of players in England that were considered like really good. Obviously, you had Ryan Giggs, who was like in his prime in Man U, he was like amazing. Obviously, David Beckham in his prime was a really, really good player. You know, you had like a lot of really good players coming. I mean, obviously, I think if you're going to say greatest English players of all time, surely you'd have to say someone from the England World Cup winning squad like George Best or something. Wouldn't you?
George Best is one of the first names. Again, a bloke who apparently was just like down the pub all the time.
Yeah, again, that's like a funny thing about George Best. He was just a complete alcoholic and just like a madman. So I mean, like didn't he would just go drink with the fans after every game. Yeah, didn't do any training outside of just playing football. Just like was just a complete wreckhead.
Yeah.
Who was the captain during the 66
Bobby
squad?
Moore?
Bobby Moore. Maybe? That's it, Bobby Moore. Yeah, I think obviously people put him in very high regard. But I don't know enough about football to say whether that's just because he was a good captain or because of how much of a good player he is. And obviously there's a distinction there.
Yeah, I mean, just for that accreditation alone of winning the World Cup, I think they have to be up there, like you said. I'd wonder if even someone would put like a Wayne Rooney or someone like that up, or yeah, or like
nah, he's not allowed just surely on IQ. no, I'm joking. No, at the end of the day, fair show. It's hard for me to say like what. So do you reckon people would argue? Oh, I'm sure they would. No, I was going to say, do you reckon people would argue that like a prime Wayne Rooney was better than like a prime Ryan Giggs?
Yeah, I mean, different positions.
Yeah.
Different positions. Obviously, Ryan Giggs Welsh as well.
Yes. We'll say British.
Yeah, so British, yeah.
British, yeah.
In fact, I think, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a hard thing to judge because the problem in football, and this is why I hate speaking about football, is no one has the same opinion.
No, yeah. People would be like so angry that you were even like saying some of the things.
Exactly, and it's so subjective. But at the same time, to everyone, because everyone knows these facts and everyone, makes their own opinions, to them, it is objective.
Man, I remember finding it quite intriguing. Obviously, like I found it really intriguing as like a fly on the wall as somebody that has no dog in the race. But I watched this video, and it was these two frickin' people arguing. I think it was a die-hard Arsenal fan and a die-hard Man City fan. And they were like arguing so viciously about who was the more accomplished team. And the Arsenal fan was like, "We've won this and we've won that, and you haven't ever won this." And Man City was like, then like had like really good counter arguments. I can't remember what it was, but their counter arguments were really good. And then the Arsenal fan was like, "Yeah, but you still haven't won this. We've won this 3 times, whatever." Like, and Man City have never won that. And it was like, "Yeah, but look at the freaking like the fact sheet." And it was like all these different stats that each one were bringing out, and I could sort of see it from both angles, and I could see why it was such a hard argument. But yeah, they were like getting vicious with each other, man.
Yeah, I think the problem is as well is people change their accreditation based on what point they want to make. So let's say
changing the goalposts.
Let's say a Ronaldo fan is saying that he's the best of all time, and they're saying he scored more goals, right? He scored 100 more goals or whatever it is. But then he would make another point for a different player and say, well, this player may have less goals than him, but you can see from the eye test that he's better. Which is a completely different way of measuring someone. So you're not taking into granted what like
into account.
Yeah, it's not taking into account what the eye test would be for the Ronaldo debate, but you're taking it into it for this other player, for example.
Yeah, so
and it makes it very complicated.
That's not a fair argument in that case, is it?
Exactly.
That's not a measured argument.
It's funny, I said to you before, like, football is the thing where I can understand the tribalism so much because I am part of it. You know, like it's so... It almost sounds funny to someone that's not interested in football, like how you might say we as a team, like we won this or we played well, or because you're not actually playing for the team.
No.
But you do almost take an identity of that team with you, and it does feel like you are part of it.
I do feel like, though, I don't know what you think, Drew. As someone that's not really into football, I find that I almost like a little bit cringe.
It's the tribalism of human nature, isn't it?
Well, you haven't done anything, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you weren't there.
Yeah.
You were just watching at your freaking mum's house, or you were just watching down the pub, eating a freaking pack of cake.
I think we tend to do it with all sorts of stuff, like, you know, like even with music and that. Like, what was it? I watched that Quadrophenia film, and it was like the mods against the rockers, and they're all fighting on the beach and stuff like that. And I was just like, for me, looking into that, I was like, it's so stupid. And it was it was funny. It was like a point in the movie of like, there was this guy that one of the mods, he knew this rocker, but before he was a rocker, when they were kids or whatever, so they'd keep meeting each other in the movie and that, and they'd be having a chat, but they couldn't be seen with each other and that when they had a cup of tea in the thing, and then, you know what I mean, and then it ended up
like that, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, but just mates, and then like it ended up like the rocker got beat up by a load of mods, and like he was there, and it was like, and he just had to like ride off on his little scooter, you know what I mean, because he couldn't like face it and that, and it was just like, dude, this is like, but yeah, you can get attached with identities and things, and be proper like one-sided about it.
I was gonna say, it makes you wonder, like, surely there must have been loads of times where like a mod like heard a song on the radio and they were like, pretty good. I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But I can't let anybody know. And like vice versa. Do you know what I mean? A rocker would have heard a mod song. But it's so weird that it'd almost be like, and then if you were like in your little group and then you heard it and like, oh, that song's rubbish. Oh, it's so bad. And you're like, yeah, it's so bad. And in your head you're like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like digging it. But that just seems like so silly, isn't it? Like, surely you just like what you like, you know, like regardless of what it is. Like,
I mean, people do it with politics. Politics is so tribal that they just choose a side and they defend it to the end of the world.
You see that massively, and it's like crazy, isn't it? Some people are so vicious. People that have different political opinions, especially like on the left. I find, don't get me wrong, there's like on both sides too, but like some. I mean, I see even on my own personal like social media. I mean, with like people that like I know, man, and you know, and they're like saying like you know, just always putting out stuff like if like
and it affects you because I've seen that as well, and I've been like, there's some friends I'm like I was close to at a certain point in my life, and I'm like, man, like that just makes me.
Do you remember the ex-girlfriend of that mate of ours? Remember that the ex-girlfriend of that friend of ours, and then they were saying, they literally put a Facebook post up and they said like, if you vote Tory, unfriend me now because you're like scum or whatever. I thought, do you remember we talked about it before, didn't we? And we thought like, that is such like a hilariously, well, it's not hilarious, actually it's sad, but it's like, it's so unnecessarily vicious and closed-minded. And it's the idea with people like that is like, they have decided that they are in the right and that the other people are villains, right? But I think that what we have to understand is, I'm not saying this is always the case, but everybody, like say, like the opposing people, the Tories, think that they are in the right. And I don't think that they should think of the lefties as villains.
No.
But basically, people have different ideas of what's the best ways to do things. When you think of it like that, rather than like, this is like a pantomime villain who's trying to ruin everything, and we are like these like angelic people. Right, it's a clash of ideas, different opinions. Oh, okay, let's put them to practice, and let's see which one actually works out in reality. And obviously, we can see through history which ones are more proven and which ones aren't. And I think, you know, as with lots of things in life, there is no perfect solution. There is just ones that are better than others. So I think, you know, for example, you can clearly see, ask any Eastern European person what their views are on, say, like communism. Ask a Lithuanian or a Polish person what they think of like the communist sort of political system. You know, clearly awful. You know, you hear about like, you know, Ruta, you know, who obviously has a show on AW Radio, but also, you know, she's a Lithuanian, grew up in Lithuania, and she said that like, you know, she'd never even seen like a banana until she came to like the UK. You know, you go to like the supermarket and there'd be hardly anything. You just hope that there was something on the shelves, let alone like thinking,
you've got your ration of bread and cheese.
And she said that she like, there was literally like not a single person that she ever saw that was even like remotely overweight, because that's how you know, their economy was so bad and everything was so bad under the communist regime that like nobody had anything good. And everything was just awful. Like even like the place they grew up was just like grey and like dull because there was no money for paint to ever paint anything or anything like that. So it was just like really miserable and everyone was just living in poverty. So like, you know, history shows us, you know, for you know, in like a very real way, which methodologies are better than others. And also depending on your specific current climate, obviously certain ones might be better than others as well.
Yeah,
Things like that. So, but I think it's that viciousness of almost like, well, if you vote for this person, then I don't even want to like you anymore.
It's hard.
What sort of friend is a person like that as well?
Yeah,
a fair weather friend. You know that saying, like a fair weather friend. What that saying is like, if someone's doing really good in life, and they're perceived by other people as like a good person to be friends with, then a fair weather friend will want to be that person's friend too. But if that person's going through a hard time in life, things aren't doing so good, they're not so hot, maybe there's something they've accidentally done something bad, maybe some other people are looking down on them, then that person is a fair weather friend, so they don't suddenly want to have anything to do with you. Because they're, whereas your real friends will stick by you through it all.
The ups and downs and everything.
Do you know what I think in my head sets apart like the bad tribalism of like we were just saying politics?
Yeah.
So like what I consider almost good tribalism in terms of like a football team or a sports team, whatever sport you choose.
As long as you're not Elijah Wood getting your head kicked in and fighting people. What's that? Is it Green Street?
Green Street.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's actually quite a good movie. I remember watching that back in the day, and it was just so funny because I think I watched it like only like a year after I watched Lord of the Rings or something, and it was like so funny. Like this little guy who I thought of as like Frodo Baggins, and he just became like wasn't like the premise of the movie? Like he was like an American tourist that like went to a football game and then suddenly got caught up in like football
gang violence,
and then by the end of the movie he's like converted.
That's
and
so
he's
funny.
just like
I'll
this
have to
little,
watch it.
and I can't even remember what team he's like supposed
Hilarious.
to support, but it's just like, have you seen it, Drew?
I have years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real funny. Yeah.
I think what sets it apart is that, and this is going to sound like a hilarious thing to say, but it's almost a religion for people.
Yeah.
Like it's something to care about. It's something to wake up for. It's something to like look forward to at the end of the week. And I think we were saying about how I would identify like we to my team and stuff like that. I think the reason and the price you always pay to be able to do that is the punishment you go through when you don't win, or when something goes wrong, or when someone has a reason to beat you as, oh, our team's better than yours for this reason. It hurts. Like an example of me the other day, Barca drew 4-4. Right. And man, I went to bed just feeling a little bit ill.
Did you?
I felt horrible. I didn't want to speak to anyone. It was just like, man, I want to go to bed. I want to wake up when we next play and hopefully we'll win the next one.
It's like when you care about anything, isn't it? When it's taken away from you, that it hurts. So if you get emotionally invested in a team, or like, but because for me, like that sounds hilarious, but because I'm like not invested in them like at all. But I can imagine it's like your cat. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're saying,
people choose what to care about, don't they?
I can relate. I'm not currently really like that about anybody in sport, but I definitely have been at different stages of my life. When I was younger, I was really, really into rugby. Like, grew up in a rugby family, and it was like a major thing, like the Grand Slam, the World Cup, rugby. That was like major in my family. So like if it was so almost like tense in the household, like whenever England would be playing, and if England lost, that would hurt, man. That would hurt. That would like really hurt, and it would almost be like a downer on the day. Also, when I was in my late teens, I got like so into MMA, and my favourite fighters were Shogun Rua and Rampage Jackson, and probably my favourite overall at the time was Shogun. And man, like if he lost a fight, I would be like sad. I would actually be sad.
Yeah, man.
I'd be like sad for about a day, like just almost like walking around, almost like the only way you can describe it is almost like with a cloud over your head. Like,
man,
like, oh, man.
A great like almost analogy for,
as you said, you feel like you've lost too.
Yeah,
you feel like you've lost too. That's
absolutely.
how bad it feels.
You claim that, don't you?
Yeah,
the same way
mad.
that you feel the pride and happiness when they win, you really do feel that.
And
sadness
because also
when they
you
lose.
have that belief in them that that on any given day they could have won. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they did it again, they have the potential, but it's just like, oh no. Like,
yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
There's this YouTube channel called Arsenal Fan TV, who are a bunch of Arsenal fans. At times they've been hilarious. And there was this guy called Claude on Arsenal Fan TV, who was one of the fans. He was he was the funniest out of all of them. Just this like old angry bloke. Whenever they would lose, you'd see him come out and be like, he's got to go, like shouting at the manager. But he unfortunately like killed himself during COVID, and like a big almost cited reason for that was like the lack of football.
That is mad.
And that just goes to show like
how important it is to some people.
Like how much they care and how much they almost live for that football.
That is insane.
Team.
That is insane. Yeah, the only other like sport I've been that invested in is like strongman when Eddie Hall was still competing, and I was such a die-hard Eddie fan. Obviously, Eddie's from Stoke-on-Trent. He's an Englishman. He's a proud Britishman. I knew that he had it in him to win the World's Strongest Man, And there was a couple of times where he fell short. I think he was like third a couple of times. He was always the best in his prime on the static events. So, when you're standing still, lifting things, deadlifts, overhead presses, anything like that, Eddie would kill. The moving events, he wasn't quite so good at. And he had a big rivalry with Hafthor Bjornsson, who's the guy that plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones. But yeah, I was like that as well with him. Like, those couple of years in the World's Strongest Man where he like fell short. And there's almost like that uncertainty isn't there at that point. Like, is he ever going to win the World's Strongest Man? You're like, I know he has it in me. And you're like so almost like wanting him to. And obviously he was the first guy ever in history to deadlift 500 kilograms, which was considered like, before he did that was considered impossible. That was literally considered scientifically impossible that the human body could not sustain that amount of pressure, that like our fibers, our tendons, our muscles, our bones cannot handle that amount of weight. I think the record before he did it, I think was something like 471 kilos or something like that.
Wow.
And
man, that's a big jump.
It's an insane jump, and all the records that had been broken before that had been like a 1 kilogram increase, a 2 kilogram increase, and it had been like that for like decades, slowly creeping up, and then all of a sudden Eddie broke it by 39 kilos. It was something like that.
Wow.
And did something which was considered physically impossible. And then, he basically like won. I think he won the World's Strongest Man and did the world record deadlift within the same year, and then basically retired. But it was like,
he did win.
He won the World's Strongest Man. He won the World's Strongest Man, and did the world record 500 kilogram deadlift, which was considered humanly impossible. And and then basically retired. But he's like this mega star now, and I'm really happy for him as well, because he's like, when you hear something like that's like, because he was like, he worked so hard for that success, and because he had the genetics for it as well, but because he took advantage of the genetics and did that. Now, because he's always going to have that title of, I'm the world's strongest man, I was the world's strongest man, and I'm the world record deadlifter, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's to this day, he's just got sponsorships. He's got a real successful YouTube channel with like millions and millions of subscribers. He goes all around the world, like commentating and hosting events, and gets paid really well for it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, him and his family are sorted for life now. His wife is cozy. His kids can have whatever they want. And obviously he just grew up in this real rough industrial estate in Stoke-on-Trent. He was training to be a lorry mechanic when he was, before he was like earning enough money as a strongman, which was like a long time, because it's not like a lucrative sport. It's not like football.
Nah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, unless you're like one of the top like 10 guys in the world, you're not making a good enough living from it, basically, And even the difference between, say, the 10th best guy and the first best guy will be like, there's a radical jump, Like, it's only really the top 3 guys that are probably like millionaires. Yeah. Everyone else is like just making enough,
Man, there's something so admirable about reaching for greatness, isn't there? Like,
oh, yeah.
I saw it was Timothy Chalamet, who I've said to you before I'm like a real big fan of.
Remind me who he is.
He's the main guy in Dune. He just played Bob Dylan, actor.
Right, yeah, I can picture him. He's a very small, scrawny guy,
yes.
Dark hair, almost like a bit curly, but not like
little mustache like mine.
Yeah, he's like got sort of like curly dark hair, but it's not as thick as Drew's. Like,
yes, yeah. He won the SAG-AFTRA like awards for like best actor of the year. I think it's the award show that's voted for by the actors. Oh, okay. Basically. And he won the award for like best male actor of the year, and he went up and his speech was very different to like a normal award acceptance speech. He went up and he basically said, I know this is almost a frowned upon thing, but I did work for this. He was like, this is 5 years of my life, this acting role, and I'm as much inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis as I am by Michael Phelps, or I can't remember the other example he gave, but he was like, I want to achieve greatness, I want to be one of the greats, and I know that's a big thing to say, but like that is where I'm at. I treat this like a game, and I want to strive to be the best. And I think that's so respectable, like to actually strive out there and be like, you know what, it's not just about participating, it is about putting my best foot forward and seeing if I can achieve greatness.
I think if you're not passionate about something, you're never going to like reach your potential.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see people like Christian Bale and stuff, and you can tell he's really passionate. One thing I really like about Christian Bale is he's quite like a minimalist in what he says about it, though. But you can see how important it is to him. Obviously, he had that like quite notorious, really, didn't he? Like like where he lost his temper
Like
on the set of Terminator Salvation.
His actual Patrick Bateman moment.
Where like they did like a perfect take of a scene, and then the cameraman said that he forgot to press record. And there's like this audio recording that you can literally listen to this day. I think you can just find it on YouTube of Christian Bale just going absolutely freaking mental at this guy. And it's like, I think at the time it was almost like some people were like, "Oh, this is really bad that he went that angry." But I think, at the end of the day, like I think I can understand that.
Yeah, man,
like,
I can definitely.
He's taken his career seriously. He's taken the movie seriously. He's giving the movie and the director and his fellow actors the respect that he's taking it very seriously, and he respects that this is his job and that he needs to do it very well. And he feels that he did the best take that he possibly could. And then when you hear that, like, the cameraman did something so stupid as just forgot to press record, then that's a fucking that's infuriating, isn't it? It's not like some like two mates in some field somewhere like filming some silly prank for like their YouTube channel. Like, this was like a massive multi-million-pound Hollywood production.
It'd almost be unheard of.
The cameraman should be professional enough.
Yeah.
To press record. That's literally his sole job, is to press record and then film the shot. Like, he should be an absolute pro at something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if you're not, then it's probably not like for you, But I don't know. I understood that, to be honest. And I think other than that as well, he just seems like such a sound guy.
Yeah, man. My favourite actor.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of my favourite actors as well. Did you know that he's like a super minimalist in real life, isn't he? He's never let the money get to his head. He's driven the same like pickup truck for like the last 30 years or something like that. I think he has like one car, and it's like a 30-year-old pickup truck with like hundreds of thousands of miles on the clock. And apparently he was like interviewed, and they said like, "Man, you're like this like multi-million, pound like movie star. Why do you just drive around and beating up old truck?" And he was like, It does everything I want it to do. It gets me from A to B. It's big enough to carry all my shopping. If my mates like need moving house, then it's big. Then I can help them move house because it's a good big old pickup truck, and that was it.
Have you seen American Hustle?
I
haven't. But I've always wanted
with Christian Bale. Like I just started watching it the other day, and he's playing a hilarious character in that. He's playing
fat,
like,
isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing like this he's got a proper beer belly and like this comb over that he has to like. He's got a bald head, but he has to put his comb over and that. But he's got this like real hot girlfriend in it, and she's just like, because he's like so confident in like what he does, and he's basically like a con artist in it, and just kind of like. So it's a bit shady, all the stuff he's involved with, but kind of like conning a lot of people in that. But like he's got the gift of the gab and everything, and it was almost showing like if you've got that, you can almost do you know what I mean. You can get over the fact that you're like overweight and like and got no hair and stuff. But funny role to play for like Christian Bale. But I think he just does such a variety of things, doesn't he? Like.
He's known for that, isn't he? His like variety. I know that what was it? Was it like Machinist? He played like, before Batman, and obviously he'd had to lose like something like 60 kilos or something stupid to be in the Machinist, and he's like deathly thin, and apparently just didn't even eat.
Man, and with like within a year, he was playing like I can't remember what the name of the movie was played after that. It might have been American Hustle, but it might have been a different one.
It was Batman after that.
He did, because he went like Batman bulky, to like
jacked.
Really skinny, to then fat, to then Batman again. I'm pretty sure he had like another like little fat 100 kg.
I'm sure. Yeah, I remember hearing him talking about how he went from super skinny to jacked. Because I remember all of a sudden he went from like not eating at all to like drinking like something like 3 liters of whole milk, drinking 3 liters of whole milk a day, and eating all this like steak and chicken and eggs. And apparently he put on, because he was like worried that he wouldn't put on enough muscle and size. Apparently he got to the set and they said he'd actually put on too much, and they were worried that he wouldn't be able to fit into his Batman suit. So then he had to actually cut a little bit of weight. He almost like overcompensated and put on too much weight. So then he had to lose a little bit more. But yeah, it just goes to show how like seriously he takes it, because that's like that's like potentially really detrimental to your health as well. It's like really radical weight loss and then radical weight gain again, like back and forth. The body's like, whoa. I
want to watch The Machinist as well. It looks pretty crazy. I just looked it up. I knew he was like super skinny in it, but like, yeah, it looks like quite a cool movie.
He's like skeletal, man.
Pretty crazy. It's crazy that he was like a child actor as well.
Yeah,
I feel like not many people know that. Like before American Psycho came out, he was almost just a child actor that hadn't been in anything for a while.
Wasn't he in Gangs of New York back in the day?
That might be right. He was in Empire of the Sun as well, Spielberg movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Gangs of New York.
God, he's been in loads of movies.
Quite cool that he'd almost like
310.
Quite cool that he'd almost been written off in a sense. You know, like he'd done his job and that was to be a child actor, but then he still managed to reinvent himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see a picture of him in Gangs of New York. For some reason, I thought I'd heard that he was, but I know that there's like several really big movies though where he is like a child actor in it, and it's almost like as a weird thing now because obviously nobody.
So Empire of the Sun, man. That was one of the big ones where he was a child actor. Really good movie.
There's this difference. There's this difference there. If you can see that, there's the difference between him in The Machinist and him in Batman.
Crazy.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Fat Man. Nah, not
Where's
fat.
Fat Man?
Fat Man. Batman went Fat Man, but he's not fat. It's just pure muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Empire of the Sun's a great movie, man. There's a great line about how when he's in this like, I think it's like a prisoner of war camp as a child, and he's talking about how he just can't remember like how his parents looked anymore.
Look at him there,
which is insane.
Look at that little Chrissy B.
Oh yeah, look at him.
Wow, that's nuts.
Man, great performance in it as well. Clearly, like a just really talented actor from young.
Oh, he's a legend, isn't he?
Child prodigy. Oh, he was in Pocahontas.
Oh, yeah, no, that's obviously you didn't see him in it though, Drew.
No.
Imagine if he was like randomly just actually himself. Like,
live action.
Did he do some voice acting on it? Did he? As a little kid?
I might just be coming up as a related. Like I don't know why it's come up. I don't think it is on one of his films. It's just come up on my Google.
Apparently, his American accent is so good that when he meets a lot of American fans, they're surprised. They're really shocked that he's English.
Is he English?
He's got like a little Cockney accent in real life.
No, he's like, oh, I'm Christian Bale. He's sort of like, oh, I'm Christian Bale, sort of thing, like a bit like that. And then, apparently, because he lives in America now, and apparently when a lot of people run into him, they're like, oh my god, I thought you were American, because in like Batman and everything, your voice is so like good as an American that we just figured you were American. Which is a testament as well to how good his voice acting is, because
man,
I feel like as an Englishman, you know, like sometimes you'll hear like an American actor do like English accents, and you're like, mate, you are barely getting by. Yeah. You are barely getting by.
Like, it does. Like, especially when you see it in like something that's like a high budget thing, and I'm like, just get someone who can actually do the accent properly.
It's almost a bit cringe, isn't it? Like, it either seems like really over the top, or like really like too much like they're trying to sound like the Queen, which obviously most people don't sound like at all, or like the character's supposed to be from like Yorkshire, but because they have no comprehension of like they haven't looked into enough like what the accent is, so they're just doing like a generic Cockney accent. So just like, but obviously to us, we're like, a Yorkshireman would never sound like a Cockney, like or whatever. You know what I mean? Or like, it's really funny. Makes me laugh as well when some American actors try and do a Scottish accent, and it's just like every now and again it almost like goes a little bit Indian or a little bit like Irish or a bit Welsh or something, and you're like, mate, what even is this accent? Like what even is this accent that you're doing right now?
It's really funny that English actors are so good at doing an American accent though. Like, there's so many examples
in all fairness,
like great English actors that have been able to pull off American roles.
I guess, like, if you want to be fair to our American cousins from across the pond, we probably listen to American accents more than they listen to British accents.
That's true.
But that said, I think anybody like with that said, right? What are some of the most famous movies of all time? Right, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, just to name a few. In Lord of the Rings, in Lord of the Rings, they pretty much all have English accents. You've got some great, even the American actors speaking an English accent, but you've got genuine English actors like Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Christopher Lee, lots of really, Sean Bean's English, lots of good English actors. So that's such a famous movie. People will hear English accents all the time. Star Wars as well. I think you've got Sir Alec Guinness in New Hope, classical British accent. Grand Moff Tarkin, played by Peter Cushing, he has an English accent. Several of the like rebels and stuff, like different rebels. Obviously, in the later movies, you've got Ewan McGregor, who obviously in real life is Scottish, but being obviously a Britishman, pulls off a very good sort of like English accent for Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, so it's like, even though I was sort of, I'm giving them the benefit of doubt, and I'm saying, yeah, we listen to American accents more than they listen to English accents. You know. Also, you've got to bear in mind as well the success of things like Game of Thrones, which obviously they all pretty much have, if not English accents, primarily United Kingdom accents, apart from obviously people like the Dothraki, but you know, everyone in Westeros has a British accent, you know, has a variation of a British accent, and that's massively famous all over the world. So yeah, you'd think they would be a little bit more accustomed, wouldn't you, like doing it, like, you know, like.
If I see things like that haven't, like that kind of stuff that haven't got an English accent, it makes it seem really cheesy to me. When it's like
like a fantasy where it's like, we need to find the mystical sword of Avalor. And you're like, it just doesn't suit, does it?
No,
it doesn't
not
fit.
at all. Like,
you don't think twice of it if it's like a movie set in like New York or California, but as soon as it's almost like in a setting like that, it's a bit like, all right.
Yeah.
I find it funny when you hear certain American or certain British actors that whenever they do their interviews for the movies, they'll use their American accent because it's easier to understand for an American audience.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's crazy. I didn't realise how much bigger, like, obviously, you know, American cinema audience is, like, ridiculously bigger, but I didn't realise how much so.
Really?
I realised that when we were talking about the Robbie Williams film, Better Man, which was, like, a really good movie.
Yeah.
Complete flop in the box office. Like, one of the worst box office disasters.
As much as I love Robbie, I'm not surprised, because it's quite a niche film. Robbie Williams as a chimp is quite a niche film.
Yeah, I think the budget
film was a flop as well, and I like absolutely loved that. But that's they didn't even they were supposed to release the second one like a few months later, and they just pulled it from all the movies in the UK. And that was like Kevin Costner's like one of like he like self-directed and like funded like a load of it, like put millions into this movie and stuff. And it's a 3-part thing. I think they're still doing all 3 parts or something, but they just like took the second one out of it. They're like, no, we're not even going to put it in the box office. I was like, what?
There are some amazing movies that were box office flops, and there are lots of movies that have had like massive success.
American Psycho was a box office flop.
Yeah, like decades after they came out. Like, they were initially seen as a flop, and nowadays considered amazing. Another movie that I consider like that, which I would actually put in my top 10 favorite movies, is The 13th Warrior.
Oh yeah,
starring Pandora, and then all of those like Scandinavian actors, where it's like he's like this Arab in the Viking Age, and he ends up going with them back to Scandinavia, and then they fight against all those like, they think they're like those like supernatural mystical beasts in the freaking like forests and that.
Cool.
That's amazing. So it's an epic movie. It's so good. But I know that was considered a big flop at the time. Like, they put like millions and millions into it back in the 90s, and it like didn't. I think it only got like half of what they put into it back at the time.
With this Robbie Williams one, I think they got a budget of like 100 million, somewhere in those.
That was
figures.
80 million of that was just for the CGI.
Yeah, man,
of the monkey.
100%. But they almost were hoping that like the UK would like pull a bit of the weight. Right. But I think it ended up in the cinemas doing about 2 million.
Well, man, I haven't even seen it yet. And I want to watch it, and I'm a big Robbie fan, but I still haven't even seen it. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, I just thought, I was waiting until it comes out.
Yeah,
like,
and because they don't know him in the American audience, no one was going to see it over there.
Yeah.
But,
as big
the
as
UK
Take That,
just couldn't pull the weight for the box office.
Yeah, as big as Take That and Robbie are over here, they had far more like national success than they had international success. They didn't really like make it big in the American market or anything like that. You know? Yeah, you have some musicians that like just end up global stars, don't you? And other ones are like sort of big in their own country, but you know, never make it outside of that, don't you?
Cool. Yeah. 110 million budget.
Yeah.
Damn.
That seems like quite a lot of budget. That seems like quite massive, doesn't it? For
it was huge. It was that's like double the Nosferatu budget.
Is it serious? You are kidding me?
Yeah, man. I think Nosferatu budget was like 40-50 mil. I think.
When you take that into account, that almost seems a bit silly to me. Like, it seems like they had no respect for the money with the Robbie Williams movie, because Nosferatu was like, not only is it a masterpiece, but the scenes in that seem to me like they should have cost a lot. Like all the sets, set design, set pieces.
It had 50 million and it grossed 178 million.
That is a good profit, isn't it?
Yeah. I almost wonder what he could have done if he got another 50 mil.
I think it was perfect as it is. I don't think you need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think like you just don't need it anymore.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
It's like saying like, oh, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like some things are like this. If it's perfect, leave it alone. You know, doesn't need it.
Well, I think that can almost be some of the problem with Hollywood films now, can't it? Is an over reliance of the budget.
100%. I think that's completely true. I think that's some of the criticisms of the Marvel movies, isn't it? A little bit that there's such an emphasis on like the shock and awe and the CGI and like big explosions and magic powers and all the rest of it. That it's like, to someone more like a Martin Scorsese or probably even like a Robert Eggers, even though he's a much more newer director, it's like look, what makes it good is the storyline, like the character interaction, the story. That should always be the backbone, like not like having a weak plot, but then it's just like, oh my god, like.
And with Nosferatu as well, like the actual beauty of some of the imagery that they created just from natural scenes and what they're doing with light and stuff was just like, like castles or what, like location and just like fog and symmetry and everything. It's like, that was insane.
Very, very like meticulous, wasn't it? It's like the set design's perfect, the costume perfect, like the score perfect, like the direction of every single scene, so artsy,
proper
so like
artsy.
Accentuating everything, accentuating the terror, accentuating the beauty.
Me and Josh were in awe at the cinema, and I remember that last scene where she's on the bed and that, and like it was things like Josh was just looking, and he didn't say anything the whole movie, and he was just like, "That's like a piece of art."
Josh messaged me that, and then I said to him, "Man, it is based on a piece of art. It's based on a Renaissance painting."
Whoa.
And then I sent the Renaissance painting to Josh, and Josh was like, "Man, it's so much." But it just goes to show how much of a good artist's eye Josh has, because he was like, "That is so amazing. That's like he literally messaged me and said, "That's like a Renaissance painting." And I said, "Mate, that is a Renaissance painting." Like they based that scene. That's how much of it. It's right at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, everyone! If you haven't seen Nosferatu, don't listen to the next 30 seconds because you definitely should go watch Nosferatu. It's one of the best horror movies of all time, in my opinion. Spoiler coming now. Right then in the movie, when she finally sleeps with Nosferatu, and then he's on top of her and he's dying, the sun's come up, he's dying, and then it slowly zooms up and pans out, and you just see his little withered like corpse, his little skinny legs and that, and his grotesque body.
Man.
And but she's just dead, and that's based on a Renaissance painting.
Wow, that's so cool.
Let me try and find what it's called a minute.
I love when life imitates art. I guess that's art imitating art, but do you remember I sent you on Instagram not too long ago that castle that was like in the hills somewhere that looked exactly like Nosferatu's castle? So cool.
Painting. I'm just going to put Renaissance painting Nosferatu and hope that comes up. I'm sure it will. I'm sure somebody would have looked that up. Renaissance painting Nosferatu. It's called something like Death Comes for Me or something like that.
Wow.
It's called, I really want to find it.
Renaissance. What times was the Renaissance?
Sort of like 1500s, sort of that time period.
Because it is known for being like very moody and almost gothic, I suppose, in a way. Maybe not gothic, but like
Nosferatu?
Dark.
Nosferatu?
Renaissance, like art.
Yeah. I mean, like, and medieval art. I know a lot of medieval art as well. Yeah. Why can't I find it? I was really hoping that would be just like enough for me to find it, but I'm struggling. Renaissance painting. Nosferatu. Inspo. I can't find it. Oh, I'm so annoyed.
We'll have to find it and put it in post or something.
I'll try. I'll try and find it, everyone, and I'll put it on Instagram or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was really cool that Josh just thought that.
That is very cool.
It's so artsy, though, isn't it? The movie is so artsy. I think it's like, it's just a masterpiece. I can't say enough good things about the movie. I really think it's a masterpiece. Do you know what I really highly recommend as well? That you guys watch if you haven't ever watched it before. And I would say this is amazing as well, especially bearing in mind it was done, I think, 35 years ago now.
Wow.
Watch, it might even be, funnily enough, I just brought up Martin Scorsese. It might be Martin Scorsese. The Dracula, the Bram Stoker's Dracula that was done where Gary Oldman played Dracula.
Okay.
And Winona Ryder from Stranger Things is in it. Also, a young Keanu Reeves is in it. Also, Anthony Hopkins. So it's got a killer cast, man.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins. There are a couple of other like notable actors in it as well that I just can't think of off the top of my head. But it is amazing. Me and Emily watched it a couple of weeks ago. I'd seen it when I was a kid, like a couple of times. but my memory of it was that it was good. Watching it as an adult, it was even better.
Wow.
Because I think you have to be. It's just Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's I think it's Martin Scorsese's the director for it. I'll put in like Dracula, Gary Oldman, and then I'll be able to tell you for sure. Gary Oldman. I'm sure it's Martin Scorsese that does it. Come on, let me know. Oh, it was made in 1992, so that's 33 years ago. Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola, sorry. So he's obviously a legendary director, isn't it? The film was produced and directed by Francis Ford Coppola and written by James V. Hart. It's based on the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. Stars Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, Richard E. Grant, who... have you guys, either of you two, seen the Loki?
Yeah,
Marvel
yeah.
Richard E. Grant is... You know when Loki goes to like the Nether Realm or whatever, and there's all those other Lokis? Richard E. Grant is the main other Loki in that.
Right,
The older one.
Yeah.
He's a really good British actor. He was in loads of stuff back in the 90s. But yeah, it's... Seriously, guys, watch it. I would say it's like almost as good as Nosferatu.
It says Monica Bellucci, isn't it?
Yeah, she is.
Was Bellucci not like the original guy who played the first Dracula?
Who was the guy that played the first Dracula? No, I don't think it was Bellucci, was it? So Christopher Lee, I think, played the second one. The first one was played by... it wasn't Bela Lugosi, was it?
Oh, it is.
Bela Lugosi.
It is. That name sounded similar in my head.
I think they're both Italian. So she's like
that makes sense.
Monica Bellucci.
Lugosi.
Yeah. But no, I'll tell you what as well. Monica Bellucci back in the day was a beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. Yeah. But seriously, guys, watch that. Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Make sure you guys do as well, because
that's our homework.
Honestly, I'm doing you guys a favour by recommending it to you. Trust me, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, watch that. I watched both for the 28 days and 28 weeks later a few days ago as well,
nice.
from our last conversation.
I've seen the 28 days. I really want to rewatch 28 weeks. My memory, I don't know what you think, Drew. My memory from what I used to think back when I was a teenager was I actually thought 28 weeks was better.
It was. I thought it was more like up budget. You could definitely tell it was like more up budget. And it was definitely. It was cool. It was cool. I liked how like the simplicity of the first one of just like it was them. Yeah. You know, like the way that the characters
following Cillian Murphy around.
Yeah, and like
meets those two people.
It was quite quaint. Like some of the character, like the way that they built it up, and then it was just hilarious at the end with all of the army people and stuff, and like they're all just in this house and stuff, and it was
big
just
manor.
And the reason they were putting the radio call out was just to get women there. Because he'd promised like all of the army people that there'd be women come in and that, and it was like,
and they were going to like basically try and like repopulate just through like this almost like breeding program, but like regardless of actually whether the women wanted to or not.
Yeah, so it's pretty dark, and then it was just hilarious how Cillian just went on this like a bit of a killing spree at the end and stuff, and went all like commando.
And she thought for a second that he turned.
Yeah.
And she was like, and then he was like, realised that his eyes were normal, and then they like hugged, and then it was all good. And then at the end, doesn't it all nice and happy, and they're on that little island, like, and then the RAF jet comes over, and they're like, yay! Yeah. With like the little girl.
Yeah, it was pretty mental, the second one, and then like with all the snipers and everything, and just like that it was getting
savage how Robert Carlyle's character just freaking leaves his wife.
Yeah. Oh mate, I nearly texted you after that bit. I was like, I was like,
dark,
it was real dark, man. And like from the start, I was like, something bad's gonna happen to him. Like, you know what I mean, from the camera of that, and then it was just, and
she's like, you left me.
Yeah,
you left me. She's on that table.
Yeah, and she because she randomly had the thing that was like, she was like immune from it. And then the kid does as well. But it's like, oh god, man, and
that's quite. I think that's good writing as well, because I think that's like, you know, that people do carry immunities, especially when diseases start spreading through populations. At first, hardly anyone does, or like nobody does, and then all of a sudden, it's like certain people start. You know, it literally happened with COVID, didn't it? It literally happened with COVID. It happens with everything.
Are there any films like based during the plague?
Yes.
I feel like you could
There's a really good
movie about the plague.
There's a good Sean Bean movie called The Black Death. Watch that. It's like a horror movie based in on the Black Death.
Yeah.
And then the starring character is Sean Bean. Mate, say no more.
Yeah, I'm sold.
I'm pretty sure I've got it on DVD.
That is cool.
I want to watch that.
Cool. I feel like if you were making a film about the plague, it would have to be a horror movie.
It's also got, Melisandre, who plays the Red Witch in Game of Thrones. She's in that, and she plays a witch.
Oh, man, she was typecast. She was a witch for a whole career.
That was one of those roles where I didn't. Obviously, I watched that before I watched Game of Thrones because I think Black Death came out like a few years before Game of Thrones.
Right.
And I watched that. I thought, oh, she's cool. Didn't think anything more of it. When Game of Thrones came, I wasn't familiar enough with her to think, oh, that was the actress from the Black Death. And then I re-watched the Black Death after Game of Thrones finished, like literally a couple of years ago. And I was like, oh, no way. I didn't realise at the time. That was freaking Melisandre from Game of Thrones.
Wouldn't surprise me if that's almost the same reason that they casted her. It's
Probably.
because she played such a good
I
witch.
wouldn't be surprised if she got the gig from that movie, yeah. But yeah, guys, watch. That's another one as well. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, but it's worth a watch. But I'm only saying that because of how good Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula is. Like, it amazed me how good it was. So, yet again, it's very artsy, it's very dramatic, very romantic, but very dark. So in that regard, it has a lot of things in common with Nosferatu. It's a bit more quirky, I'd say, than Nosferatu. That might just be because it's like a very early 90s movie compared to... But it's still amazing. It's still amazing. And it still has some genuinely freaky scenes in it. Really good, I said, top tier cast, really good score. The storyline's amazing.
It's crazy with Nosferatu. I think it's one of those special movies. I've not been probably shocked by a movie since I watched Lord of the Rings in the cinema. As much as I was with Nosferatu, it's crazy really. It doesn't happen that often. Even like you say with massive budgets or that's definitely not the answer to an insane film. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes you just have those that are going to stand the test of time. I think and be instant classics almost.
Oh, I think that will stand the test of time. I think it doesn't matter. I think someone could watch that in 100 years' time and they'd still be just blown away.
No, I agree.
I think they still just think that's a masterpiece. Yeah, as you said, Drew, exactly the same as Lord of the Rings, man. Yeah, just absolutely just masterpiece, isn't it?
I think the last movie that moved, I've seen some movies, but one that I remember leaving the cinema and being like, wow, was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
Oh, with that crazy Chinese lady that's
Yes. Yeah, it's like a multi-dimensional movie.
That sounds nice.
But, man, it's so
I haven't
poignant.
even heard of it.
It's so poignant. The almost point that it tries to make in the script is just immaculate.
I think I tried to watch it on the way to Peru, and I was getting too confused or something. It was about the third movie in, and it was on the plane. Yeah. But because I'm gonna have to give that one another go.
Yeah, man, it's definitely one of those ones that I feel like you've got to be locked in for, but it's worth it. It's worth locking in for because, personally, I thought the third act, or maybe it's even the fourth act, is just some of the best cinema I've ever seen.
Have you seen this? I think it's the same actress in it, but maybe or maybe not actually. 3 Body Problem. Have you heard of
it? I have. I watched it on Netflix, man.
Is that good? Because I've heard
really good. It's the same directors as Game of Thrones. It's their next project. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's got because it's got a bunch of the Game of Thrones people in.
Oh, it's got Sam in it.
Yeah, it's got Sam in it. It's got the Onion Knight, isn't it as well?
Oh yeah, Liam Cunningham. Yeah, the Onion Knight.
Yeah, really good, man. Really good. Definitely worth watching.
What's the premise of that? Because
So it's sort of set in present day, I believe, and they're the group that it focuses on are these really smart scientists, and I'm trying to give an explanation without spoiling anything, but there's a bit of a mystery going on as to these weird headsets that they get.
Okay.
And it goes a little bit spacey, shall we say? It's like a sci-fi series.
Right.
Man, you guys would love it. I tell you what, as soon as the next series starts, I'm going to watch every episode as they come out. That's how much I was loving it when I watched it.
Another bit of a weird one I've been watching recently, but I just smashed the series out because I thought it was pretty good, bit of a thriller, called Severance. Have you heard of that?
Man,
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
again, I was literally saying the other day, that is the number one series I want to watch at the moment. So I want to hear your thoughts on it, because apparently it's
really
amazing.
cool. I've just smashed it, but like a bit different. Like it's really like the cinematography in it, and that is really cool. It's like there's this director that always does everything with like symmetry, and it's like everything's exactly the same on either side, and that, and like it's a bit like that. It's like there's lots of scenes in offices and stuff, but it's very artsy still, and that's really cool. It's like basically there's this company called Lumen, and you can get this like chip in your brain that separates your life from work from your life at home. So your life at home, you're just your normal person, but as soon as you go down the elevator to work, you have no memory of your outside life, of your home life. You only have memory of your work life, and then as soon as you go out of work, you lose all the memory of your work life and only have so you're literally like a different person. But the people that are like in the workplace start feeling like super trapped, and they want to escape and stuff, and like it all goes a bit like mental, you know, and it's
very Black Mirror-y, isn't it?
I was thinking that. I think that sounds quite Black.
Do you know who directs it, Drew?
No.
Paul Rudd.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Paul Rudd's the director.
Paul Rudd.
Isn't Ben Stiller?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's Ben Stiller, I think, man. Because I remember.
Ben Stiller, is it?
Yeah.
They always for some reason those two are always quite in my head like mixed.
Severance director. Yes, Ben Stiller. Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah, because I remember thinking that was weird. So it's weird. Like I don't know why I said no. I didn't know as well, because I remember seeing that.
So
and thinking,
he's the director, and he used to be the producer as well. So at first he was the producer, now he's just the director. But,
so cool.
Yeah, guys, I think we're going to have to leave it there anyway. I think we've had a pretty full pod again.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, I planned like so much like different stuff to talk to you about this week, but it's just been one of those ones where we went off on one.
At the very start.
I never even got onto the first thing in my notes. Wow. So we'll literally save that for next week. We'll literally save that for next week. But that's good, because it's always good to have stuff in the pipeline, isn't it? So we'll say we'll save that until next week. But you'll be happy, Bullwinkle, because some of it was about monkeys.
Oh. Nice.
Some of it was about eagles.
We kind of talked about some monkeys as well.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? But it wasn't about this specific amazing fact, which is an amazing fact. So that's reason to come back and listen next week, because it's an amazing fact about this specific type of monkey, which I didn't know until the other day, and I actually was like, what the hell? Some also a really cool mental fact about an eagle, and loads and loads of other stuff as well. Also some insane dinosaur news as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, we've got some real cool stuff.
I'm sold already, man. I'm sold. Yeah. I will be there.
Yeah. So as always, everyone, thanks so much for listening to Pandora's Box. If you're not already, please go give us a follow on like Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff. It really helps us out. If you like what we do, we love you. We have been Pandora's Box. We'll be back same time next week. Until then, stay good, friends of the pod.
Catch you later.